guys. Whew, 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 whew. Well, well, well. Look who we have here today. I'm back. I'm back. I always say that I'm back, but it's just a lot. It's a lot. Lifing. Okay? I'm sure you all have been lifing too. But I just wanted to touch base with you all today. Learned a lot of good things recently, not just about myself, but I originally started off moving and just got caught up in working and whatnot. So it made things a little bit more difficult. I'm trying to get my phone to sit up right. But I wanted to talk about basically higher self. Most of us have a meaning what this means. We have a description of what this means. We have an ideology of that. If I can get this to mute, there we go. Um, I was trying to get my YouTube to mute. See, I haven't even been able to do my hair, but I don't care. Like lately, I really don't care what anybody says. Maybe I should have never, but just my nature. Anyway, one of the things that we're talking about today is the higher self and trying to make sure that as you evolve into a better person and getting things done the way that you get done, the way you get them done in life, and the way that you want things to be perceived, I guess is the easiest way to put it. For me, excuse me, when I think of my higher self, I always use that as a preface to give me direction. Which way to go? What do I do? How do I do it? What needs to be done? Blah, blah, blah. And sometimes, I'm looking for direction because I'm really confused or I'm really um, just at a loss, for whatever it is that I'm trying to complete. And sometimes I get a little squirrely and whatnot. And when that happens, I kind of have to just slow myself down and either meditate, take a nap, or just redirect my steps. Let me see, what is that? But a lot of times, oh, that's the guitar. A lot of times it will help me, and sometimes it will help. Jeez, should have touched it, huh? So let's say, for instance, you're really contemplating something and you can't decipher how you're going to determine whether it's a good look for you or whatnot. A lot of times, let's say, for instance, I'm um, trying to decide if I should, you know, maybe like do this podcast, for instance. I was doing something else and I was like, I haven't talked to everybody in a while, and I don't want to give up on my podcast. I don't want to give up on any of my goals and dreams because I know that I'm going to reach them no matter how many obstacles get in my way. And it seems like there are a lot of people that may not want you to succeed. There are a lot of situations that may just come up to make you feel like it's somebody not wanting you to succeed. Whatever it is that makes you feel horrible things are happening to you, you have to kind of like find yourself in this, find your center. And your center is going to be you. If you're saying you wish that you had um, a brand new suit, to me, your higher self already has the suit. They're wearing the suit. They look amazing in the suit. And they're just waiting for you to get to where they are so that you could be in the suit for real, for real. Okay? So, in those types of scenarios, when you're there and you know that you're being positive and you're trying to stay motivated and you're heading towards that balance of being successful, you have to find yourself Then you also have to figure the problem. Okay. In these scenarios, when you're trying to figure out what the problem is, that's when you have to sit and meditate, clear your mind. I mean, you might not call it meditation. Maybe you call it prayer, whatever you call it. Pray, I'm praying to God. And when I meditate, I'm actually clearing myself out. One guy basically he said to me, he was like, the difference between meditating and praying is when you pray, you're asking God's guidance. And when you meditate, you're asking for not necessarily guidance. You're clearing out things in your brain and in your mind and maybe even in your heart that are basically creating blockage. Okay, so when that is the case and you're praying to God for guidance, and by the same token you're praying for meditation, and you're not praying in meditation, you're meditating to clear your mind. um, the difference between them and is that you have to know when and how to keep your brain quiet so it's not bringing in things and diffusing the situation. You, they're both practices that can help you find a moment of quiet to involve asking for help, offering things, or expressing your feelings. Whereas in meditation, it's about being receptive and passive. Um, just to try and focus on more of the things that reduce stress in your meditation, and depression, anxiety, things that help you to achieve a higher sense of awareness and reflection on who you are, because that's the bottom line. When I say the higher self, that's what I mean. I think you communicate more with your higher self during meditation practice. There's a little piece of hair that's stuck somewhere on my lip gloss applicator. I'm just gonna have to run it under hot water and soap so I can get it off because it keeps getting on my lips. But anyway, you know, when you have more focuses on when you focus on prayer again, you are asking for that direction. But during your meditation, again, you're trying to relieve some of the stresses and things that cause you that anxiety that asks for you to have your to help me through it. Okay, so when it comes down to it, in terms of your higher self, you're trying to figure out about this new suit. You talk to you say you want the new suit. You believe in the new suit. Blah blah blah. Yada yada yada. And now you're stuck trying to figure out, how do I get to that level? How do I get to, you're frustrated because maybe one issue is money woes, maybe another issue is size, weight gain, whatever, and you're all frustrated about all that. So in those scenarios, you're basically going to go into, excuse me, what again I use is meditation and relieve my mind, contention with myself, to where I can't get that peace of mind. And one of the things that I really things that create um, a situation that prevents you from getting where you're trying to go. And one of them is object. Uh, I'm so sorry. Um, the words are escaping me. One of the things is it's called object permanence, and object permanence is kind of interesting. What's happening is you have a multitude of things that could be going on with you. maybe out of sight, out of mind. If you don't see something for a long period of time and you are trying to use that, trying to figure out what, in terms of object permanence, um, sorry guys, when I'm on, when I'm not on, nobody says anything. But when I get on, I start getting all these messages. And that was one I had to answer, so sorry. But one of the things that I am talking, you talk about object permanence. Object permanence is mine. Something you don't see, then you don't really worry about it at that moment. It's something that you would have to have in your visual all the time. Okay, there we go. For many women, you know, that have ADHD like myself, you're very, very hyper in your mental. And this might not just be a reflection of women who are hyperactive, because a lot of times we're moving around, we're doing a lot of things at once, but we still are staying on point with the main things that we need to stay on point with. So it's not like you're not knowing what you need to do or knowing how to do it. That is a misconception, because I think that if for some people, if they think you're like, you know, I guess not paying attention to them, or people don't understand when people have different things that create barriers for them. You might not be disabled or on disability, but there are things that create different barriers. Now, do I use that to my advantage so I can get to the next and the next? No, I don't know. Most of you know of what I have to stay on top of. But there are times when things get very difficult, to where sometimes you just want to break down and cry. But I'm not much of a crier, so I don't do that either. Um, it can manifest as difficulties in basically just staying focused and having your attention on one thing versus something else, and or like remembering things, okay, or things that, especially that aren't immediately present, are right here like in my face. So sometimes I can be doing something and then I'm like, ooh, let me go do my podcast, and I'll jump up and go do my podcast. Is it because I'm not diligent, or is it because I'm lazy? Is it because I'm not focused or driven? No, none of that. I am very focused, I'm very driven. But because of what they call object permanence, sometimes it's not in my face at that moment, because maybe at that moment what's important for me is I got to go out and I got to get this 10 more Uber rides so I can get a bonus point, okay, or money. So if that's the case, then I'm focusing on that right then. But it's not like I am being lazy or not focusing or not driven to do some of the other I do in my daily routine in many, many ways. Like I said, if it's outside, it's not. That's or anything that I put away, I might forget about it because I'm like focused on what's in front of me at that very moment. Like there's an emotion object present, uh, permanence, emotional object permanence, months, or him or whoever, for months or weeks at a time. Even my son, my sister, my niece, my grandbabies. I don't see them for a long, long time. Now because they're the closest ones to me, they don't fully go out of my view or out of my memory, or like my um, moment, like the object per side out of mind. They're not necessarily out of sight, out of mind, because they're really most prevalent in my mind, because every day I'm either thinking about them or hitting them up or saying I love you or whatever. So somehow that's a different type of emotional attachment. An emotional, I don't know why the YouTube thingy is doing that. I always use my phone and it works so well on my phone. But anyway, in a situation with emotions, um it more centers around how I feel about how you feel about me. So I'm not calling you, or I'm not there where you were at, or saying whatever, then I feel abandoned, or I feel a little just disheartened. So I tend to alienate from close relationships so that I don't have to worry about feeling that way. And it's all subconscious, because until I start like now talking about it, I'm not even realizing, oh man, I did do that, or that is something that I deal with, or what have you. But it can extend into the relationships where, I could feel, like I said, abandoned, or I could feel, experience like a sense of emotional, out of sight, out of mind. Oh my God, I'm not in their sight. Did they forget me? I can feel disconnected. I know I've been on jobs before, and I'm very I'm very diligent to teach it. If I teach you something, then I'm going to likewise make sure that I'm no I know pretty much everything I can about it. And so sometimes it comes across as a know-it-all to people who don't know me. So yeah, they do treat me a specific way, but they don't realize the Dina that I am. And I do have different disorders within her that create the problem. Then it becomes more of an emotional situation on my level and on my side, because it's like I can experience a sense of emotional, you know, discomfort where those people are concerned, because they're talking about me, and it's not even something you are going to believe unless you're in the group with them doing it. But it's something I see, and it's something I know, because they do it and they tell someone that knows me that they don't know me. So when that happens and that person comes back and tells me, they're like, she's not even like that. It's always a defensive thing where Dina's concerned, to where the person that may know me might feel like they need to alienate themselves from me, because they're on the job too, and they don't want somebody to say, oh, she's on her side. So this is why I don't care what anybody thinks about me, or why they think what they think about me. And if I look crazy to somebody and I'm out and hell, I'm in the streets of LA, there's a whole bunch of people that look worse than I do. Okay. And I'm not calling nobody out or dissing anybody or whatever, but there are other people that have worse, issues than I have. So I'm not going to sit there and pinpoint an issue that someone has. I just know on insane that it's like, but it doesn't do that on anything else. But let's say, for instance, when we talk about the higher self giving me direction in doing something, then that is what helps me with my ADHD. I have to sit in a quiet place by myself and listen to myself. And it might sound crazy, but I know other people experience it. And, I don't feel as crazy, but, you know, th- these are called coping mechanisms. So because I am meditating, or I set alarms on my phone for every little thing, to where sometimes there's four alarms going off in a day. And before I set, or when I set the alarm, and I'm in the mindset of knowing why I'm setting the alarm, I put a title on it. So when it goes off, it's going to tell me, oh, you got to go and get the cookies out of the oven, or it's time to change the water bowl for the dog, or it's time to do, you know, your meditation, whatever, and or you have an eye strategies, and these are, they can be visual cues as well, whatever works for you. But for me, it has to be something tangible that's right there, because I'm always moving. So I'm always using my system um, on my phone. Big organizer for me. I share this with so many people in the past that you got to recognize these that this struggle um, can help or hurt you. And the only way it can hurt you is if okay, great. I know I got to do this. I know I got to do that. I got to get this. And da, 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 da. So you got to figure out what works for you. Today, I was so hell bent on getting out and Ubering. But for the last week, so I have been in sparks, different spurts, but I've been extremely tired because I was also doing some other stuff. And the other, I was kind of like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Well, the decision was made for me that it was no longer going to work for me, because it was too time consuming for one, and then there were time constraints, and those time constraints were not even realistic. For 4 or 5 people in an hour time, and getting it to them in that same hour, and it might be 5 people, and there's no possible way, no possible way. So me myself, when my higher self says, no, this is too much, Adina, you can't do something else, I won't listen, because I need to do this, I need to do that. So because I am so hell bent on doing it, and it's not, I mean, I guess some people could say you're hard headed, but you're not. You're just very resistant, because ADHD, the hyperactivity in your brain, is like 5, 10 squirrels moving at once. And they're swirling around, doing things so fast, so rapidly, that you don't even understand how you're supposed to get back to one. Because by the time you've gotten into a pickle, you're sitting here trying to figure out how the hell to get out of it. But you're good at it. You're very good at it, mind you. You can figure out how to get what you need to get done. It might take you till 8, 9 o'clock at night, and it's now 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're not getting paid what you're worth, because you spent 8 hours trying to do it. But you're really fighting with yourself, because you're saying, I can do this. There's nothing wrong with me. What do you mean? I mean, like, how does anybody else do it? How disappointed. But then I read something this morning, and it says no one is listening to that statement, and actually it was part of my horoscope. And listening to that statement, it basically is saying that, okay, so you mess up on the first go round, figure it out, and then do it again, and then I bet you it won't happen again. At least for me, I just feel like a failure. I feel like I'm a loser, and I'm not doing all the things that I need to do. And I know I'm not a loser. I know I'm successful. I know I'm smart. I know I'm, you know, um, reaching and aspiring to greatness, and will reach it. Will reach it in this lifetime. But in most respects, for myself, I have to deal with coping strategies and having to write things. Like, I don't even write it down anymore. I have a whole text message to myself. I send things to myself, long bulky notes. Sometimes I go to Chat GPT and get verbiage for things because I can't really figure out how to put it into words so that I can make it make sense to somebody else. So I have to do when I'm ready. Okay, so it's an amazing feat when you get to a level, and I feel like I've elevated. Ping, like when you're in the game, I feel like I've elevated in the last couple of days, and a lot of people, again, you have to figure out what resonates with you, what works with you, how you do you, because I know how week, night, whatever. And once all too big, I don't realize how much weight I've lost, and I don't need a large or extra large anymore. Anyway, side point, ADHD. Hey, that's me. Anyway, but sometimes, a lot of these things, they can contribute to procrastination, where I put it off. And I'm like, I had to get my car had to charge, and I'm mad because I went to a charging station where it was already okay. I just got it yesterday. So yesterday when I got the car, it was on I want to say 80% or something like that. And then I drove it to where it was now only on 40%, but I guess most people charge theirs at 10%. And I'm not waiting to do for that, because I'm not going to be walking and somewhere in the dark, lost, none of that. So I go up to a spot here in Beverly Hills, and it's called the Beverly Center. And you can go up and charge your car. And I get there at 10 o'clock this morning, mind you. So at 10 o'clock, I'm like, okay, shoot. In my mind, the guy at the car place says, oh, yeah, you can get it charged in 30 minutes. So I'm thinking, shoot, I'm going to go there 10 o'clock, 10:30. I'm going to be out. I'm going to be Ubering. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to come home 7 or 8 o'clock. I get there, and first of all, you have to download the app. For those of you who don't drive, I don't really take it back. I still love some of the people that I know who have Teslas, but there are some people out here, and most of them, they just dart in front of you. They think they have the right of way when they don't. And I'm thinking to myself, if I hit you, and I was already established in my lane, are you an idiot to not know that you were at fault? And y'all got sensors all over that crap. All of them have a lot of sensors. So when you get into a wreck, you're not going to get it back in a day or two. They still trying to figure this crap out. So have some respect. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I'm thinking I'm going to get out of there in 30 minutes, but I download the app. I call the 800 number for guidance. Thank God they were really nice. Her name was Dahania or something like that. And she was very helpful, very pleasant, and she gave you no answers. Right now, they're trying to get everybody to jump on. I hate when people. Anyway, so long story short, but come to find out, she was like, just to get your car to 85%, it's going to be 4 hours. But the first charging station I was at wasn't working very well, so I had to plug up to the next one, and it started working. And then the car told me what was going on. It was like, for you to be at 100%, it's going to take 8 hours. So immediately, instead of me saying I'm just going to come back in 4 hours when I'm 85% charged, I was like, no, I'm going to come back in 8 hours when it's 100% charged, because then tomorrow I can wake up at 5 a.m. and go and make some money. But it was clear to me that today my higher self was like, the struggle is real. You are not going out today. And then part of it is just because, like, I haven't been drinking my water. I haven't been drinking water, so I feel very dehydrated, a little dizzy. I feel tired, but I'm not. But I can't go to sleep because I drank coffee. Just little things I feel and what's going on, and tell them some things about what's going on, and just share because I still have being said the good from where I live, so I can just I can walk home and chill. Um, but I wanted to hit y'all up and let you know about the higher self and to really investigate this. For the next week, and I'm really trying harder to get back on every Thursday. And instead of me taking 1 or 2 hours, I might take 30 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour, and just bring things to you guys to kind of deal with and compensate for any of my difficulties. Sometimes I still can't make it because I'm stuffing too much in to my day. Okay. And so by the time I get home, I have one beer because this beer is my new beer. I love it, Pacifico. It is so delicious. It tastes better than any beer I've ever had in my life because there's some little hint of strawberries or something in there, but you get the kick of it afterwards. But it puts me to sleep and I'm good. So most of the time, I'm trying to figure out how to be in an environment that's going to reduce the impact of any of these objects of permanence issues that I go through daily. Okay, whether it's feeling depleted or neglected or depressed or exhausted or whatever, I'm just trying to guide myself through it. But on the flip side of that, the positive note, I also know and believe that for a fact I am elevating to a higher level. All my success and my dreams and goals are coming into fruition. So there were so many things to prepare me for it. And now that I'm here, I'm like, wow, I'm really, really excited that I made this journey. You know, um, I want you to keep your head up because you just never know. I mean, people, I know a little guy, and I'm so sorry if I get his name wrong, but I think it's like Corey, Coley or something. I don't remember. Just a handsome little fella, 27. He's dead. And in my mind, the way it sounds to me, they haven't confirmed nor denied that he took his life. He was severely depressed. And I have to check on my son, my homies, my loved ones, because this is real. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why I talk about your higher self, because you hear the answer. And it doesn't make you crazy that you hear the answer. It makes you smart and intelligent. And in fact, it makes you a great listener to listen to yourself. Because when you do that, it will elevate you to the next level. And until you get to that highest level that you want, you're always going to ask for something. So you're never going to reach a level that takes you completely to completion. Once you reach that level to where you wearing that suit you've been asking for, you're going to have something else you're going to ask for, and you're going to continue to reach that. But it becomes easier because you will have learned how to get there. And just like I was talking about objects of permanence, you don't like objects of permanence, object of permanence, because if you allow yourself to, like for me, I know I'm going to keep fighting. I know I'm a fighter, I'm tenacious, and I'm going to keep fighting. But it's almost like you're giving yourself more work to do when you really don't mean to, but you don't know you've done. So with that being said, guys, focus on your higher self. Focus on what you are aspired to get to, and don't allow the negative, nasty nays who are down want you down because they down. Just keep that in mind. But focus on what it is that makes you do what you do. And also learn more about objects of permanence, because if that's something that you face, deal with, or are going through, then you can also learn how to cope with it. All right? Well, peace out. I love y'all, and y'all take care. And I will see you next week. Peace and a bottle of hair grease, as my family member used to say. Bye.